Okay, how do you take an idea and turn it into reality in as short of a period of time possible without driving yourself crazy? That's what this video is all about. Here's the idea, all right? I have a software company. It's called ROAS.org, ROAS.org. It's a software program that tracks how much money your social media ads are actually making you, which is really, really hard to do. If you've ever run social media ads, you know that tracking's terrible. And it automatically scales the stuff that's profitable, and it turns out the stuff that's not. So it's kind of like having a full-time Facebook, Instagram advertising agency that's really, really good and never sleeps working for you 24/7. So that's the thing that we've got. Now the mission, the idea is to get $150,000 in monthly recurring revenue by June 1st of 2022, which is a pretty big goal, especially because our software is not particularly expensive. So how are we going to make it happen, or at least try to make it happen in a brief amount of time without failing spectacularly, or maybe with failing spectacularly? Anything's better than nothing, right? How are we going to make it happen? Well, let's go to the computer. Here's what we got, all right? Step number one, if you got an idea and you want to turn it into reality, you first have to start with the end in mind, right? Like a very specific target goal. So that's either going to be like, I want to create this thing, or in our case, I want to have X amount of money coming in as a result of this plan. So as you can see over here, I really don't know how to use this app, by the way, so I just sort of winged it. As you can see over here, I started with the target of, I want to generate 150,000 monthly recurring revenue by June 1st of 2022. Now, that's a pretty short time period. Who knows if it'll actually work, but this is coming up with a plan. So you never know if your plan works till you come up with one and you try it. So our software is $297 a month, okay, which means we need to have 506 paying users. So it's not a particularly huge number, but getting people to subscribe to anything monthly for any amount of money is a lot easier said than done. So it probably won't be easy. We think that it's the best way to sell this is to give people access to the software for free, meaning they don't need to pay for it. No credit card. I want to eliminate the resistance as much as possible and just let people use it and let the value of the program speak for itself. I think that anyone who's actually running ads on social media, if they use this thing and they actually track how much money their ads are making and it automatically scales what's working and kills what doesn't, I think they're really going to like it, and they're probably going to want to keep using it, especially since it's not very expensive. Other tracking programs that don't even have our automation are significantly more expensive than ours. So I think we have a pretty good competitive advantage there. But if we look at the first three things here, all right, we've got the formula, or at least the beginning of really creating a good plan by reverse engineering how to get where we want to go by starting with the end in mind. We know that, okay, we want to bring in $150,000 a month. Cool. Maybe we'll do it, maybe not. If we do it, we got to get 506 paying users. I did the math there, divided 150 grand a month by 297. Math is not an exact science, but it comes out to around 506 users. So now, knowing how the sales process works, that, hey, you know what, just try it, no credit card needed, see what happens. If you like it, pay for it after a week of using it. Well, I figure maybe 10% of the people will actually become paying users, because who knows? I've never really done this before, so I'm kind of pulling that out of the air. So that means if we do that math, that means that instead of focusing on this big, seemingly daunting $150,000 a month, now I have a different thing to focus on, which is moving to this next little box here in our plan, question number one, which is, okay, how do I get 5,060 people just to try this thing for free? Now, to me, this seems a whole lot easier and a lot more manageable than, hey, how do I go out and get $150,000 a month, especially because of this offer, right? It's like, all right, man, just try the thing. You don't need a credit card or whatever. And if you want it, then if you like it, use it. So that's question number one. If I can get 5,060 people to try it for free, and 10% of them, which I don't know, maybe it's a good stick rate, maybe it's not, who knows? 10% of them actually become paying users, and we've hit the target. If less than 10% of them become paying users, we haven't, but at least we've gotten somewhere, right? So that's question number one. But whenever you're planning like this, you start it with the end in mind, then you figure out the little building blocks for making that happen, and then you might start getting ideas while you're doing it. The most important thing is you want to take what's in your mind and just get it out onto some sort of canvas, whether it's a piece of paper or whether it's an app like what I'm using right here. Whatever it is, get it out of your head and in front of you so you have something to work with. Here's our target. 5,060 trials by May 24th Now that might not make sense to you. You might be like, dude, but you're trying to get 150 grand by June 1st. How come it's May 24th is when you want to have this many trials by? Well, the answer is it's a 7-day free trial for this thing. So I need to give them at least 7 more days after the 24th to go ahead and try the thing and become customers or not. So I don't want to stretch it out to the 1st to get that many trial users. I want to go ahead and do it by the 24th so I can actually have my target revenue number, or close enough, by the 1st of June. When you're doing plans like this, it really helps, at least in my experience, to be as specific as you can and really set like timed deadlines. And even if it's a giant, like seemingly crazy plan, like, okay, I'm going to just start out of nowhere and get this many customers into this thing, who cares, right? Just get it out on paper or on one of these things, whatever you want to do, so you can start looking around at it. So let's circle back to this 5,060 people, right? I need to get 5,060 people that run ads on social media to actually try this thing for free. No credit card needed. It's a lot easier than trying to sell something to 5,060 people, but still it is it's no walk in the park there. Now the next step is, okay, what am I going to do to get these 5,060 people? And you know what the best answer to that is? It's what's always worked before. So you've probably done stuff before that's worked, and you can take the things that have worked and you can apply it to whatever it is you're trying to achieve. In my case, in looking back over my career, which is almost in 23 years now, so October of this year will be 23 years of my helping entrepreneurs, the one thing that has brought in more revenue for me and just built my brand and helped me more in any other way and any other thing in my entire career is one simple strategy. I'll walk you through it right now, because if you don't get anything out of this video, I think that this one strategy could help you a lot. So the strategy is called results in advance, all right? And it's made me more money than anything I've ever done. And it's also helped a lot of people. At least I hope it is. They told me it has anyway. So I'll walk you through it, okay? Let's see how this little whiteboard thingy does here. So the way results in advance works is this. First of all, you figure out how to use the whiteboard thingy. I'll change this to blue. There we go. The way results in advance works is like this. You have a customer, all right? And the customer is here. And notice he's got like not a frowny face, but he's like, they're like, okay. They want a specific result, right? And when they get the specific result, they'll be right here, okay? They'll be happy. So results in advance is really simple. What you do is you look at the exact steps that your ideal customer needs to take in order to go from here, where they are and they're not very stoked, to over here where they are super stoked. And then you give them that for free with no strings attached or anything at all. And the idea is this. What we want to do is we want to demonstrate that we can help somebody by actually helping them. What happens is it's almost like when someone's really hungry, and like, have you ever been super hungry and you're outside of a restaurant and then like you smell the food and you're like, damn, I'm like 20,000 times hungrier now because you started smelling the food, and then you see it or something, and then maybe they'll like give a sample or whatever and you have a little bite and now you're just, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to pass out. I'm so hungry. That happens because you have this idea, you have this desire, which is to eat, and then you get closer and closer to actually having the food. And as you get closer to your end result, the desire to achieve that result goes up, right? You just can't help it. It's normal human psychology. The closer you are to the thing that you want, the greater your desire will be for the thing that you want. So if we want to figure out how to manufacture desire within a large group of people, the simplest thing, and also happens to be like the funnest and friendliest thing to do, is to do this approach with that large group of people. Because the closer you get them to what they want, the more they will desire the thing they want. So in order to manufacture that, look at this, it's got an eraser, sweet. In order to manufacture that, it's really pretty simple. All it requires you to do is to ask yourself, okay, what are the main steps that someone needs to take to get from where they are now, point A, to where they want to be? So where they are now, they don't have the results they want. Point B is they're super stoked and they've got the results that they want. So it really pays to do that. And as it relates to this plan, here's how I've decided to integrate it. And I'll show you how it works. We'll know by the end of the month, right? So check it out. All right. I got a revenue target. I know how many trial users I need to get. I think 10% of them will convert. Who knows, right? I'm just pulling that number out of the air. You got to start somewhere, right? The question of how am I going to get these people to become trial users is I'm going to give them results in advance through daily social media videos like this one. So what do social media videos mean? Well, in my case, I'm just going to use the platforms that are already producing results for me, which is the Facebooks, the YouTubes, and the Instagrams. All right. So how am I going to do it? Well, it's It's really simple. I'm going to make a post every day, and then every single time I make one of these posts, I'm going to boost it as an ad. And by boosting it, I don't mean like your traditional boost post and social media thing. I'm just going to turn my post into an ad, a special type of ad, which we'll talk about later in this series. And I'm going to reach my most interested and most engaged people consistently, and constantly stay in front of them with this actual helpful content that allows them to learn how to get from where they are now, which is their ads are doing okay, their ads could do better, to where they want to be, which is their ads are going to be awesome, all right? And they're going to be very profitable, and they're not going to have to spend a lot of time on it. So everything's about doing that. So with that said, the question becomes, how do you take a seemingly big, daunting task like create a new social media video for every freaking day between now and June 1st without driving myself crazy and spending 17 million years in front of the camera? And the answer is, you do a little simple planning. It's no different than the process we already did. So, okay, I know that I need a little less than 30 social media videos, but I'm just going to say, let's say it's 30, just because why not do 30? If you're going to do 25, you might as well do 30, right? So I got my target number, 30 videos. The biggest and most difficult question is, what the heck am I going to talk about? So if you understand this already, and you know that, okay, in my plan, I got to do this one thing that's really going to be potentially very difficult, or at least time consuming, or maybe something that you want to procrastinate on. And you know that the reason it's going to be difficult or time consuming or leading itself to procrastination is because of like one specific issue. In this case, what the hell am I going to talk about? The thing that you need to do, and this is extremely important, is tackle that thing right now. So the biggest thing for me was, the hell am I going to talk about every day for 30 days? Like, I don't even want to listen to myself talk that much, you know? So how do I come up with what to say? Here's how you come up with what to say. You sit down in a chair and brainstorm until you're done, which is what I did yesterday. And I made this little list last night while I was making this brainstorming plan right here. So to create this list, I literally just wrote daily social post topics down here, and I just came up with stuff to talk about in each video, right? And I think there are like 30 things to talk about. Now, here's what's great, all right? It took me maybe 45 minutes to come up with this list. But what happens is once you like unclog that roadblock that might be in your mind, whereas your mind's like, you know, mental process and your computer's going, man, I got to come up with all these things to say. What the hell am I going to say? I got to come up with all these things to say. This is going to be terrible. Once you turn that off and you actually figure out what it is that you're going to do, it frees up the RAM memory of your brain, to use a computer analogy, and now your brain's going to work a lot better. So once I made this thing that you're seeing on the screen, I just wrote down all of these ideas. Did I script the videos? No. Right? Did I like whiteboard all this stuff out? No, I just came up with ideas. Once I got that done, my physical state and my mental state went from one of being like kind of tired and a little bit overwhelmed by it to totally confident and totally stoked and excited to do it. Because now I've got a plan, which is, okay, I can just like knock out videos on these topics right here. I can knock out like 5, 6, 10 of these in a day. Easy. As a matter of fact, I gave myself a little deadline. Shoot 10 of these. Look at that, it waves. I had no idea it would do that. Shoot 10 of these by May 9th. This is number 1 out of 10. Can we do it? We'll see. But now it's simple, okay? So now I have a very simple, doable plan. And I guess if you were to take anything away from this entire video is, look, it doesn't matter what the big plan is, you know, whether you want to get 150 grand in like monthly recurring in a very short time, or X amount of customers, or build something or whatever. If you break it down into little steps, and then this is key, right? Because nothing I'm telling you is like a novel concept or anything. But if you break it down into little steps and you identify the thing that's like causing you to be stuck mentally. In my case, it was like, man, what am I going to talk about on these videos? Am I going to look stupid? Of course I'm going to look stupid. You know, is it going to be a pain in the ass? Yeah, it's probably going to be a pain in the ass. But the biggest thing was, what am I going to talk about? If you just knock that out, your brain's going to be good. You're going to have like plenty of power, plenty of mental energy, plenty of stamina, and you can go ahead and proceed with your plan. But if you don't, you're just going to come back to your plan and look at it every day, and you're always going to be stuck because you never got through that one little hurdle. I hope that makes sense. Another thing to be asking is, okay, what do I have now that I can also use to help me achieve this goal without like reinventing the wheel? Okay. So for me personally, there's a couple of things I got. Number one, I have some social channels. I don't have like a gazillion followers, but I do have an unusually high engagement rate with a lot of the channels, which I'll take. Number two, I know how to run ads, right? So I know how to target the right people and get these content pieces in front of them. And I know how to make it where I can drive traffic from these types of ads, even if it's just pure content ads. So that's pretty sweet. Number two, I got a database of people that, they read my emails and stuff, and that's pretty cool. So I'm going to augment this plan of daily social media videos by doing a weekly webinar and telling my list about it, and also telling my social followings and all of my channels about it, where during that weekly webinar, I'm just going to get on and I'm going to talk about one specific tip about how to make ads work better. I'm going to tell them about ROAS.org, right? Which is like, hey, if you want to automate stuff and actually track it, check this out. No credit card needed. And then I'm going to augment my overall social content formula or strategy by taking the recordings of those webinars and making content posts out of those as well. So I think I can, in addition to these like 30 topics right here, I can also take those webinars and chunk them down into usable clips that further promote the software. So we'll do this every week as well. This one I'm not quite sure about. And this is an important distinction. When you're coming up with a brainstorm idea, like this is literally the equivalent of sticky notes on a countertop, by the way, just do it on a computer screen. So you don't need to be fancy with this. But when you're coming up with an idea, all right, let all the ideas just come out. Like this one, I'm running lead form ads right now, Facebook lead ads, and they're pretty profitable. They sell other stuff. I thought about like running them for this thing. I don't think I will. And I've come to that conclusion like 24 hours later after making this brainstorm. I just think it'll be a distraction from the overall social strategy that I'm going to implement. So I'm not going to do this. But had I tried to work out whether or not I should do that when I was building this brainstorming thingy here, that's what this is called, technical term. Had I tried to like figure out, hey, should I do it? Should I not do it? I'd have lost momentum in getting this thing out, right? And just getting it out of my head and onto some kind of canvas. So I'm not going to do that one, but I am going to email my list every day. And it's really simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the content ideas that I filmed right here, and I'm going to draft an email about those content ideas. Like, hey, here's how to do this. I'm going to tell them how to do it in the email. And then I'm going to send them a link to whatever channel that they want to watch the content on. Go watch it on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you want to go. And then at the end of the email, I'm going to use a little strategy that my man Dean Jackson came up with. It's called a super signature, which is P.S. Whenever you're ready, you can always try ROAS for free with no credit card needed by going to ROAS.org. I hope you like it. And so that's how we will get the ROAS.org name and message and content in front of everybody who's already in my ecosystem by email. So if you look at this thing, what we really did was we took this big goal here. All right, let's start from zero, because like as I'm filming this for you now, our software works. We got some users on it. It's great. They're stoked. We don't even have an order form. Like we literally just got set up to take credit cards yesterday, so we're starting from zero in terms of actual revenue for this software. So we're going from dead stop to 150 grand a month. And hopefully we'll pull it off. We'll see in 3 weeks, basically. All right. So that's a pretty big one. So how do you go from like nothing to pulling that off? And the answer is really simple. You reverse engineer, find each little step. And anytime there's a stopping point where you get stuck, once you've outlined all your plan, you need to revisit that stopping point right then and figure out how you're going to get through it. So you can turn that feeling of being stuck into stoked. Dude. Stuck into stoked. Surely someone's come up with that before. That sounds like it should be in an 80s movie, doesn't it? Like maybe a Karate Kid prequel. We need to go from stuck to stoked, Mr. Miyagi. I don't know. Sounded cool. All right. So I hope you found this thing helpful. I hope you join me on this journey. You're going to see a lot of content from me specifically about making ads work. All these topics right here I'm going to be showing you, which is going to be cool. So we're going to do every day between now and the 1st of June. And wish me luck on this thing, at the very least. All right. And this is why you should do things like this. Even if we don't hit this target, okay, which is entirely possible we don't. Like, I don't know these metrics. I don't know how many people will actually stick. I don't know how well our web page converts yet. Like, I'm just spitballing, But even if I don't hit this target, let's just say we grow it to 50K a month or whatever, and we screw it up in the first month of trying, who cares? I still ended up making extra 50 grand a month, and software people tend to stick for a pretty good while. And, all right, I will have created all of this content that I can use forever going forward. And remember, at least in my experience, I can't speak for everybody on the planet, but in the 23 years I've been doing this stuff, this strategy of taking your prospect and like genuinely helping them get the result that they want in advance of you ever telling them to give you any money, single most powerful thing ever. Every single one of these little social media videos are something I can use for years that actually make that happen. So when you create a plan like this and you implement it, and even if you don't implement it perfectly, you're still going to do two things. Number one, you're going to get some form of result, right? And that's going to be good. It's better than nothing. And number two, you're probably going to have things that you can continue to use for a long time, which all kind of points down to, hey man, I mean, this is pretty much the digital equivalent of me writing on sticky notes and sticking them on a piece of construction paper. There's no reason in the world why you can't take whatever that project is you've been working on or whatever that idea you have and just sticky note out, man, right? Get you sticky notes and a legal pad or something. You're good to go. Hope you found this video helpful. I've been on Zoom calls all day and I got like 2 hours of sleep last night. I'm not the smartest guy in the world anyway, especially not today, but something with some intention and some goodwill behind it is a whole lot better than not putting anything out there at all. So just do the best you can with what you got, and I think everything will fall into place for you. I sure do hope it will anyway. If you run ads and you want to track your sales from your ads and actually see which campaigns are making you money, like whether or not they buy today from you or 6 weeks down the road, and then you want to scale what's working and turn off what isn't working automatically, try ROAS.org. It's really freaking cool. It's so cool that you can try it without a credit card. You can just use it for a week. And then at the end of the week, if you want to pay for it, you can by actually like clicking on the button and paying for it. And you don't even have to give us a credit card or anything at first. And if you don't want to use it, then don't worry about it. We'll disable the account when the trial's over anyway. So you don't even have to worry about remembering to cancel something that you don't intend to use. It's truly a no-risk situation. But I think once you try this thing, if you're running ads and you try ROAS.org, you're never going to want to go back to doing it the old way again. I'm willing to bet on that one. So give it a whirl if you want, and I hope you found this helpful. Take it easy.